The door comes off the truck as a complete unit. It has the art glass, the transoms, the side lights already pre-mounted. The security hardware and features are already mounted also from the factory, and it has the factory weather stripping. The first thing we do is verify the opening is the right size. We'll measure your old door opening, then we'll go out and measure the new door just to verify that everything's going to fit perfectly. From time to time, we do have to modify the brick molding around the door to make it fit absolutely perfectly. Sometimes we have to trim off a little, sometimes we need to add a little, but that's how you get that custom fit. Once we're sure that the new door will fit, then we start to remove the old door. First we take off the interior trim, then we try to locate any of the existing installation screws that we might be able to get to. Now oftentimes those screw heads are buried and we can't find them. So then what we do is take a Sawzall down along the jamb and we cut off the screws so that we can push the door out. Then clean up any of the remaining debris, nails, screws that may need to be cut off the rest of the way. We'll check the opening for any rot, and if there is any, of course, we'll replace it. In the case of this door, we had a little unusual circumstance. This happens from time to time, where the original door was installed on the home before the bricks were installed. This causes an overlap on the bricks over the brick mold, so we can't just push the door out. So in this case, we had to cut the existing screws, and then we're going to have to separate the door jamb from the brick molding. Now we put down the water and ice shield. This is a rubberized waterproof barrier that goes between your home and the elements. When the sunlight shines on it, the shield melts and fills all the gaps and cracks and seals your door against leaks forever. This is something special we do at Mr. Rogers Windows. It's just one more step we take to make sure that your door will never leak. Next, we prepare the pan. This is a PVC coated piece of aluminum that's custom bent in the back of our truck by the crew leader. Each pan is special made for that opening. Once the pan is made, we place it in the opening on top of the water and ice shield. The purpose of the pan is that if any water did happen to leak in, that it would hit the pan and cause it to roll out to the outside rather than rolling to the inside, causing damage to your floor. Before we get ready to put the door in for its final installation, we do what's called a dry fit, where we set the door in place, ensuring that everything fits just perfectly. Sometimes we have to trim moldings that may be too tight or shim things out that may be too loose in the rough framing. In this case, we couldn't do a dry fit because of the size of the door and the size of the opening that it had to go into. What we did was take multiple measurements to ensure that we had it cut to the perfect size before we ever even tried to get it in the hole. The next step is to lay a caulk bed. This is yet another seal against the elements. So now we've got a seal from the water and ice shield to the pan, from the pan to the threshold of the door. Then we set the door in place. These doors are big, solid units and are naturally pretty square, but we take extra special care to ensure that everything's square, plumb, and level. If we need to, we'll use some shims to make sure that everything's leveled up across the bottom. Then we'll use shims on the side to ensure that everything's plumb. Once we have all that done, we're going to tack it in, take some final checks, make sure that everything, again, is square, plumb, and level. That's the most important thing in installing a door. And then we're going to screw everything down tight to the frames. Any gaps that are left are filled with a minimum expanding foam. This is a foam insulation that's sprayed in so that it expands and fills every little crack and crevice, ensuring that we have a complete, not only watertight, but also airtight seal. We install the hardware and check that all the locking mechanisms work properly and match the openings. And that brings us to this point where the crew leader is finishing up wrapping the exterior with the PVC coated aluminum trim. He'll then caulk it, which will provide the final security for keeping moisture or anything from getting in from the outside. It seals both for moisture and for air infiltration. Then the mechanic is inside putting on the interior trim. He'll putty that and then caulk around those edges as well. Start to finish, a few short hours, you have a beautiful final product here.